the 4th of January 2012, an anonymous 4chan user posted this image to the site's infamous B or random board. The author, going by the pseudonym 3301, challenged users to find a message hidden within the image. We didn't know it at the time, but this one image would start one of the biggest internet treasure hunts the world had ever seen. The first puzzle started off in 2012, with the first step being the previously mentioned image, which was posted to 4chan's B board. Not even 24 hours after the image had been posted, users had already found some success in solving the puzzle. Within minutes, someone had found that by opening the image using a text editor, a string of readable text could be uncovered. Readable is not entirely the correct word here, but the hint Caesar pointed to the seemingly random string of characters being potentially encrypted using a Caesar cipher. Sure enough, after some trial and error, an imagery link was uncovered, leading users to, well, an image. At first it seemed like a dead end, but by using a cleverly hidden hint, users were able to extract hidden information from the first image using a program called Outguess. That information led to a subreddit, which then led to a book. Using the book code provided by the first image revealed a phone number that, when called, played this pre-recorded message.
Very good. You have done well. There are 3 prime numbers associated with the original final .jpg image. 3301 is one of them. You will have to find the other 2. Multiply all 3 of these numbers together and add a .com on the end to find the next step. Good luck. Goodbye.
The other 2 numbers turned out to be the width and height of the original image. Multiplying them with 3301 and using the product as a web address, users were led to a website containing a countdown. Upon this countdown reaching 0, the website was updated with a list of coordinates. Located at these coordinates were posters with a QR code each. Those who believed Cicada to be some international collective now felt as though they had been right, as only an international organization could possess the means and resources to create a scavenger hunt of this magnitude. These QR codes linked to an image, the image contained a riddle, the riddle led to a book, the book led to a website. But here, the puzzle took a surprise twist, with only a select group of first arrivals being accepted into the final stage of the puzzle. The site eventually closed down, leaving remaining users with the message, "We want the best, not the followers." The finalists were also warned not to collaborate nor to share any information from this stage of the puzzle. Given that we noticed, that warning was not taken seriously by all. Those who did, however, presumably proceeded through the final stages of the puzzle before reaching the very end. A month of complete silence later, a post was made on the subreddit announcing the official end of the puzzle. This abrupt end made many view the puzzle as nothing more than a wild goose chase intent on wasting everyone's time. Add to this the complete lack of an explanation, and you've got yourself the first few who are willing to distrust your seemingly mysterious puzzles. However, this was just the surface. Due to how each element of the puzzle is constructed, one would not seem wrong by saying that Cicada is some covert society. After all, the minimal information for each element gives off a mysterious aura, making users feel as though something much more could be hiding beneath the surface. However, this sense of eeriness is clearly forced. Look at the image that started the third puzzle, for instance. This is probably a more extreme example, but if you analyze the image, more specifically the text, it becomes very apparent that whoever made it tried to be as mysterious as possible. Another example would be the Liber Primus, a book-like scripture that appears to be Cicada's manifesto. Just to make my argument more solid, a third example would be this questionnaire which finalists of the second puzzle had to answer to progress. These are just 3 examples, but there are many more, like the subreddit, this Twitter account, the name Cicada uses, their logo, and others not mentioned here. All of these have one thing in common. They all seem mysterious or creepy in a way, right? As someone who wrote many scary stories in my free time, I can tell you with confidence that this mystique is very much forced. This technique of leaving things vague as well as using cryptic language usually results in the reader feeling creeped out. The image that started the third puzzle is probably the most obvious example. That image also touches on another subject, but more on that in a moment. First, I want to take a look at something else that is equally weird. Let's make the scene clear. Cicada puts themselves out there as some secretive entity who for some reason requires intelligent individuals for its purposes. Cicada designs elaborate puzzles, with each next step seemingly being harder than the ones before. Well, what became of it? We've not seen anything result from their recruitment, and as this article seems to imply, a project actually failed altogether because of Cicada's poor management skills. As a side note, this also helps with building a profile for Cicada. Additionally, they claim to have contributed to other projects which we have, quote, undoubtedly heard of. This would mean that they were public ones, but chose to become secretive for some reason. If this is true, then why would they have done that? Furthermore, them stating they, quote, want the best as opposed to need the best also seems rather curious. If they are looking for intelligent individuals, would they not need new members as opposed to wanting new members? In the same email I've been using for the entirety of this chapter, which winners of the first puzzle received, Cicada also states that the recipients should respond to the email, which was sent from a Gmail account. Considering that Cicada is an entity who values privacy and security, the choice of using a Gmail account is really strange, considering that Hushmail, a very popular private email service based on the very same PGP technology Cicada used across all of their puzzles, was readily available. While not entirely fitting the theme of this chapter, I also want to point out a rather odd mistake Cicada made back in 2015. On July 28th of that year, at approximately 5:20 in the morning Universal Time Coordinated, they posted the message shown on screen. The mistake I want to point out is the missing "we" in the sentence. We are not associated with this group in any way, nor do we condone their use of our name, number, or symbolism, which nicely transitions us into the next chapter. Something I want to point out is that while it seems like Cicada is some international group, they rarely state so explicitly, instead choosing to let people figure it out on their own. The thing is, this theory already has multiple issues with it. One such issue is the mistake I mentioned about 3 sentences ago, with the missing "we" in this message. Or rather, it is a subset of multiple such minor mistakes Cicada made, which could have been avoided if multiple people had been checking for such mistakes. Also, perhaps the most intriguing part of this entire case are the posters Cicada used in 2012 and 2013, which many perceive as confirmation that Cicada is an international organization. After all, only such an entity could manage to install posters all across the world. But, yet again, the existence of these posters does not prove anything. To me, it seems as though Cicada used these posters as a way to make people believe they're an organization, even though they are not. Up until this point, no part of any of the puzzles required more than one person to set up, which leads me to the conclusion that Cicada did in fact not install the posters themselves, but merely hired people to do so. Strategically, that would make sense, as that would help Cicada conceal their whereabouts. Something else I find very odd is that Cicada, while always fighting claims that they are involved in illegal activity, never fights claims that they are a group of any kind. This is despite those claims also stating that Cicada is involved in illegal activity. It's almost as if they want to reinforce the idea that they actually are present across the entire world at any cost. Surely they'd want to address those claims too, right? And none of this would be out of the question if we consider that Cicada might have a lot of disposable income, as buying one domain, let alone multiple, which is something Cicada does on the regular, is not cheap by any means. Doing that for years and years, that would require some serious amount of money. The goal of my investigation is to find out the true identity of Cicada 3301. Their behavior, more specifically the way they treated past winners, as well as those who chose to quit the quote-unquote recruitment, rubbed me the wrong way, and I decided to contact a good friend of mine to help with the investigation. Cicada is a single person, likely residing in either the United Kingdom, mainland Europe, or on either coast of the United States or Canada. No part of the puzzles required more than one person to set up, and by the looks of it, it actually was not done by more than one person. The amount of small mistakes, as well as the consistent style, writing, general style, feel, etc., led us to believe that Cicada is actually just one person. Bringing up the posters as a counter-argument doesn't work, since I myself could use a number of services to hire random persons to install posters across the world for me, and I by no means have multiple people. The times and dates do not span the entire week, but merely Monday through Wednesday. Furthermore, excluding potentially automated posts, no post was made in the middle of the day, but either in the morning or in the late afternoon instead. If it actually were more than one person, this would surely look different. Saying that this is a tactical approach by Cicada doesn't work either, since they constantly say we and fellowship rather than I and me, meaning that they want us to believe that they actually are more than one person and are situated across the entire world. Furthermore, that person also seems to be rather immature. Any sophisticated individual would surely think everything through to try and make it seem like all this was actually being done by an international group, rather than leave these clearly noticeable breadcrumbs leading us to believe that Cicada is just a single person. But that was not something Cicada did. No, they led us here, through dumb and seemingly minor mistakes akin to that of an immature individual. Cicada, on the off chance you might be watching this, for years you've been an enigma, playing the role of some large international organization, and you've created a puzzle akin to that of such an entity. However, despite the way you present yourself, you're a fraud. You're not an organization, and you're certainly not international. You're likely a young fellow, knowing a bit about computers, but this doesn't make you as smart as you present yourself. The amount of mistakes you make won't happen if you were. Additionally, you have never rewarded any winners so far with anything, going as far as abandoning them completely in 2013. So, will you play the long game, waiting patiently for you to be caught, or will you play the short game, confessing to all of this? Or will you provide proof of your claims that you're an international organization? Or do you want us to officially cancel the investigation? All you need to do is tell the world. Let us meet someday, 3301.